Hello, I would like to introduce myself first, Bahar Kazıkmeyer, and we are the trainers at Game Education. So let me share my screen first. And today we're going to talk about gamification in education and also game-based learning in education. So they are two different terms that we need to consider. And in our Erasmus projects, we usually embed gamification and game-based elements into our project in order to make it fun way, enjoyable for the students and teachers. Because when you have fun, while doing an activity. So you would like to continue it. And so that is the main component that we must consider while having our lessons in our schools and also in our trainings. So gamification and game-based elements are really important for teaching something or for making permanent teaching because you just teach something. You don't just teach something, you also have fun. When you are having fun while doing an activity, it is more probably permanent in your behaviors or more permanent in your knowledge. So that's what we desire to and what we integrate. So let's start our presentation and talk about it more um, detailed way because it's really innovative idea in the traditional courses and in 21st century schools. It's a must to embed it into school atmosphere and also into our courses and also school curriculum and maybe strategic plans also. And I will give really important examples while giving this information. We would make it an online meeting, but it will be restricted to just 100 people or 100 students. So we decided to record an official video in order to make it more permanent and more permanent in our social media and everyone who needs gamification tools or a presentation or an important but two tools in gamification and game-based learning they can easily find and also listen and write their ideas, comment also, and it could be more beneficial and informative in that way. That's why we made a decision like this. So let's start our presentation and talk about the details. And when you have a question, please add your comments on to below our video. So we will reply it as soon as possible, and we will support you all the time when you need help in gamification and also game-based learning, not only in Turkish companies or Turkey-based institutions. We can also provide assistance for all schools, all institutions, all NGOs, all SMEs, small, medium enterprises and companies, businesses. Gamification is always in all kinds of life components. So that's not only integrated into trainings or education, it's a loss when we consider it like this. So let's continue. Gamification in education. So who am I? Let me give you a brief information about me. I'm an English language teacher and I'm also Game Hub Thinking Ambassador. Also, I'm implementing lots of projects in Erasmus projects and also e-twinning projects. And also we have some British Council project, which we are running now as called Butterfly with the Plymouth University and Erasmus project with the Portuguese, Dutch, Turkish, Spanish, Italian, and French just added into our list, and we have lots of connections with lots of schools, institutions, and also NGOs around the world, especially in Europe. And I'm also a National Geographic certified educator, which is another important aspect of our company. Because we also serve some trainings about sustainability, and in 2 days we will have another workshop with the sailing club about sustainability, which is really important, and we must fight against climate change. Apple teacher, blah blah, and another issue is EU Climate Pact ambassador, and but we are using Vocalet in most cases, which is very beneficial tool. Also, scientics is another thing, and STEM education is very important. And I'm a woman interpreter, uh, so it's another thing. So you see, the presentation and gamification is connected with lots of things, not just badges or games, or it's even connected in rocket science, as I said before, in mail system, in games, in applications, in all the sectors are included in gamification. There is a link which I want you to check your knowledge about the gamification and game-based learning, and I will add this link into the description part, which will be easy for you to understand and to check what you know, or you know the things they are right or not, because it's also a game. So games are really important for teaching and learning. So let's start our presentation with gamification. So when you play the game, so as there's a link which you I want you to check your knowledge about gamification while you were playing that game. If you played that game before our presentation, that would be really amazing. So you will see the differences and what is your mind and what will be added into your knowledge. And when you play the game, you are usually shocked, or you are strangled and you are twisted in the question. You're thinking a lot, and sometimes you have fun, as you see. Sometimes you feel so ambitious and you want to win all the people. And sometimes you get very angry and terrified because you are losing and you couldn't remember the answer. And sometimes you feel tricky. Oh, I got the point because I have known the three questions in the right way. So you feel tricky. Oh, I bet this guy like this. And it's games and gamification are really important because you have lots of feelings while you are playing something. Instead of just getting bored, just listening, just learning. So you also increase your feelings. You change your feelings. And when you change your feelings, so your brain is always busy and it doesn't stop, and it gives lots of reactions. So that shows you are active during learning. So you are learning something by not by heart, by feeling it. So when you have a feeling about something, it is usually transferred to the long-term learning. So that's why we must use gamification. And as you know, we have five senses, and even as more as for example, you are explaining English, if you attribute five senses at all, so you are absolutely transferring it to your long-term memory. But if you even transfer it, if you even reflect to three senses, so it's also very beneficial. So while teaching something, how much senses you reflect, so you get more effective learning period, or you transfer it to your longer memory. So, we have two kinds of memories, short-term and long-term memories. So when you transfer the knowledge into your long-term memory, so it's easy to remember. But if it's in short term, so you cannot remember it at all after maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes or a day. So our aim for education is to create a permanent learning. So gamification is one of this tool. And when we are using gamification in our schools, for our students or for the volunteers, let's say, there are some game user types. So it could be disruptor, philanthropist, free spirit, and social. So it may reflect your different areas. And when you find out the players game user type, so you can make much better games for your students, because each student is different. So they have different taste, they have different mindset. So when you find their game user type, it will be easier for you to embed the subject into your curriculum, and you can create much more powerful learning atmosphere. So I will also send the link in our description part under the video also, so you can also check out your game user type and also your students user type. So you can create the games according to this type, and that will be much more effective for your students and for your teaching process. And the guy from England created this, and that's really a great tool that you can use. And also, it's online, and there are lots of different language supports, so you can make it in your own language also, so you can find out more about it while doing. So indeed, gamification is a long journey. So I will just give the main elements so you can use them and you can read them later on in detail to embed it. Anyway, let's talk about Yukachu. Yukachu is a very famous American gamification designer, and he says that gamification is connected to these elements. One of them is meaning. The game must be meaningful for the learners, and there must be also accomplishment. If you achieve something, so you say, oh yeah, I'm learning, because you need to increase the self-esteem, self-confidence in your students, in your um, pupils, and empowerment. So they must feel the power. They must have a kind of ownership of the lesson. So they must have a belonging and ownership, as I said before. And scarcity, so there must be some scarcity elements in your gamification. So students must say, oh, that's scarce, and I must embed it. So these are, you see, the all tiny other elements. For example, for the accomplishment, you can give badges. And for ownership, they can create their avatars, or they can have protection tools in their gamification, or there could be virtual goods. For example, you can give them 5 points, 6 points, or and also there must be unpredictability and social influence. Social influence is another important issue that you need to consider while creating the gamification. And the students can work in groups, and when they work in groups, so collaboration and cooperation are another element in 21st century skills. So if they are working in a group, so the students will make another influence to their friends. Even the laziest students would like to do something, would like to achieve it. So, so they are pushing their friend, even the laziest one, the naughtiest one, wants to be the winner because they are working with a group, and the groups must be divided in um mixed way. Not all hardworkings are in one group. So you must make it one hardworking, one middle one, one lazy one, and one naughty one. So if you create the groups in a mixed way, so they will have a belonging into the gaming design. So and while creating the games, you can also create the groups according to the game user type. That's another issue, but it must be mixed also because if you just put for example, just put the disruptor into one group, so it will be a mess. So you must put the groups, put the students, add the students according to their different levels of the subject or their characters. And what I usually do at our school, I usually decide the leaders, and then they create their teams on their own, and they select the students one by one. For example, there are two leaders and they usually pick the best ones in English. For example, Aisha is the best one and the second best one is Veli, for example. The second person gets Veli and the third one gets the third forward. So according in their ideas, the success is more or less the same as yours. They know their friends much better than us, indeed. So they compose their teams into two teams and they start playing. And while playing the games, there are usually disruptors a lot, and also they never stop talking. So I have one rule, one principle during gaming sessions. And if a student talks, they get minus 100 minus. But so it is a kind of trick that they must be silent during playing game and they must pay attention to the ball, so to the board, so what they are answering, so if it's right, if it's wrong. So for example, the second person comes and if they see the same question and they directly, even they don't know, they remember the answer. So it's really beneficial and my students learn a lot really via games a lot. Anyway, gamification is the solution for real life motivational problems and long-term behavioral change in participants with game design techniques. It is an approach that solves by targeting. So that shows gamification works in the best way if you use it in the right way. So uh, as far as I know, I'm doing it in the right and in the best way. So gamification is and game-based learning are working perfectly in my classes, and I absolutely advise you to do it. And who is Neil van der Linden? He is a game vet. It's an international community. He is one of the founder of this community, and he is working on gamification sector a lot. And Wislaw Taylor, and the work is essentially simple and routine actions taken when encouraged. So encourage is usually a missing part of the trainers most of the time, or teachers, instructors. So if even the laziest, the most naughty students are encouraged. So they will try to do their best. They may not be very good at English or maths or science, but they will do their best to understand it. And when students, especially the middle students, middle school students, or primary or high school students or upper secondary school students, and also maybe kindergarten. They are always expected to be encouraged. Yes, you are doing very good. Yes, you are doing your best. So these are very important elements. And usually the students are, especially younger ones, are not they don't have enough self-confidence to manage something, to run the something. So they, when you encourage, they will find the power in themselves, and they will try to do the homework, or they will try to achieve. They will have a power. But if you always ignore them, discourage them, so that's really a waste of time to teach them most of the time. So we must even encourage the worst students, because they are going to fix our cars, our taps, our houses. They're going to build our houses. So we need to teach them how to be responsible, how to have fun while making or learning something. So they can be more self-confident and more talented. So they must feel that urge in their mind. And the opposite of playing isn't work, it's depression. So that shows why games are very popular, and we should integrate them much more in our aspects, in our businesses, in our education. Education is our priority, of course. And let's talk about details of games versus play. So, indeed, in Turkish, they are completely the same words. But in some languages, we just call it with the same word. But in English, it's different. Games are distinguished from play, and play is free form, and games are rule based. So, a game is has a game has rules. So you can't just, let's play something. So play means, so you can play um board games, but which board game, what rules? So if you specify the rules, so that shows the game. So she is just playing something, playing with the toy. And in the second one, she is playing Monopoly. Monopoly is the game because it has lots of rules. And what is gamification and why is gamification? Gamification is the use of game thinking, game mechanics in non-game context to engage users in solving problems. It has been studied and applied in several domains, with some of the main purposes being to engage. So here is the keyword is engage. If you feel engaged to something, so you will be involved. And when you are involved, you learn, or you do something which is worth your time. And so think about it there, for example, driving a car. Yeah, it's not a game-based environment, but if you say, "Oh, I'm gonna stop in the next gas station and buy a chocolate for me," so that's a gamification, because you are putting a motivation into your driving, and you are also rewarding yourself. So that's the gamification. So is there a game? Nope. But there is a gamification as rewarding externally. Anyway, and how we do it? With the addictive component of a game. It tries to apply game mechanics in other environments, such as education, as I said before, also driving. And what we can do? Any process which satisfies the following assumptions can be gamified. For example, an activity can be learned, user actions that can be measured, feedbacks timely can be delivered to the user. So these are the concepts that we can put gamification as a motivational thing. Let's see. For example, you are driving with your baby or with your kid, and then he is just sitting at the back. And usually, the journeys or travels are mostly very boring for all the people. After 1 hour, you just feel the board or roles and other things. Let's see when let's make it gamification. Let's embed gamification into that. For example, we have 5 hours travel with the kid, and if we say to the kid, "Oh, count the trees and cars passing by," so you start counting it. So that's a play. That's just a playing and or gaming because you are putting some rules into that. That's just a play or gaming. The person who says the first red car, get the kinder at the next stop, is the gamification. So if you reward someone, if you put detailed rules, so if you put an additional motivational aspect, so that's the gamification. Let's check out the gamification concept. There must be a rule. There must be a goal. There must be a learning. There must be a skill that you must add. For example, reading skill in the other example or achievement. So when you count for example, there are 5 cars or there are 5 trees. So that's achievement. I counted 5 trees. So let's get the kinder. And challenge. So you say if you count 5 trees, so you will get the kinder. But if you can't get it. So that's a challenge. So reward, kinder is our reward, and chocolate is our reward. And competition, so she's trying to pass the trees pathway, and she says or he says even, "Oh, mama, drive fast." So we can count more and more easily, so we can catch the kinder earlier. Or user engagement, they are attracted, they're excited, so they will have feelings and feel a bit, how can I say, enthusiasm to see, to read. So that's the user engagement. User is engaging in the trees. So let's see other concept about gamification and game-based learning. And in gamification, you use the games in non-gaming context. For example, we are teaching English and there's no game. What's your name? My name is Bahar. What's your job? I'm a teacher. Or that's just asking, answering questions or teaching simple present on and on. And maybe listening skills. They just listen. But if you put some gaming elements into that, so that's the gamification. So game-based learning and adding some game aspects, games into that education, so that's gamification. But if you are games, you are using just games to achieve something. So that's game-based learning. Let's make it more clear. For example, you are using points or leaderboards or competition or reward system, badges, stickers. So these are the gamifications. For example, you put a poster on your wall with the names of the students, and you say, if you do your homework, so I will put you plus. I will add you plus. So when you have 100 pluses, so you will have 100 in oral exam. That's a good example for gamification. But if you're just playing in the lesson, so that's game-based learning. Just playing, game-based learning. But if you are getting rewards or if you are getting minus stickers or chocolate or titles, so these are the gamification. And benefits of gamification in classrooms. There are lots of scientific proven benefits, and there has been lots of scientific thesis and research on that. And it shows that students feel like they have ownership over their learning. And another thing, they feel relaxed while playing game, but while they're just learning, so they don't feel like, oh, that's boring. Oh, after because you know, uh, in the lessons, we have just 15 minutes attention. And after 15 minutes, and it's sometimes less for younger students, it's sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes, and it's changeable according to the students' psychological problems and also their skills. So most students have attention problems nowadays, and some of them are hyperactive. So it changed according to the students also. But even let's consider even the most one, it's just 15 minutes, and the lessons are 40 minutes in most of the countries. So how are you gonna deal with that? After 15 minutes, we will have a 10-minute break. So that's impossible. You can't teach something in 10 minutes. So when you embed the gamification or game-based learning into your teaching, so students feel more relaxed and they will feel, oh, I enjoy it. I feel relaxed. So they will be more relaxed to try again and play it, and they will not be scared of failure or doing wrong. And they will have more fun, and they usually enjoy it a lot, and they are really looking forward to having your lesson with them. And learning becomes visible through progress indicators. Also, they say, oh, yeah, I have 3 pluses in English lessons, so I'm quite successful. But if you don't have anything, if there's no change, so you say, I need, at least I can do once my homework and I don't. I can get 1 plus, and my teacher could say something good things to my parents. So they are important for their own world. And students may uncover an intrinsic motivation for learning. We will talk about intrinsic and also extrinsic motivation. And students can explore different identities, and they will find out their ambition also. And they're also more comfortable in gaming environment, and there is absolutely much higher engagement and concentration in the lesson, and also they have opportunity to think outside of the box. Tasks are no longer just about filling in worksheet or doing homework or doing the exercises in the book, so that will be widen their horizons also. And game shows, you can use game shows and to make the lessons in fun way. So they are students usually do not pay attention mentally and get away very quickly, as I said 2 minutes ago. And teachers and trainers use game show to add some fun. And you can use word wall to add some gamification elements into your lessons, and game-based learning tool. It's a nice tool. And how to gamify our classes. First, you need to choose your goal. Dörtte beşi altısı nerede? Görünmüyor ki anasını satayım. Yes, how to gamify your classes. First, just a second. Yes, how to gamify. First, you should choose a goal. So, what is your purpose to do it? And what do you want your students to accomplish? So, what are you teaching? And then divide it into milestones. And how can you divide your goals into achievable steps? And what, because just one goal is not enough. And you must also think the parts, sections for the other things. For example, you're gonna teach them simple present, and simple present is not just one thing. So you must teach the positive, negative question, and you must make them to use in speaking and how they can use them in their daily habits, blah blah. So you must divide it into milestones and gain your game board and what kind of gaming you will integrate, and also a simple chart. For example, I told you you can write the students' names onto the poster, and you can also put them onto the hang them onto the wall. And then four, they may create avatars so they feel ownership with that case. And then you can create badges. So for example, Aisha did her homework every day. So you should, after 5 times she did it, so you can give, you are now the homework achiever, blah blah. So you can create the badges and design a leaderboard and consider playing in teams. Yani namely teams, if they play in teams, so it increases the motivation, collaboration, communication. So these are very important. So what are the important things? And Duolingo is really a nice application that they have already embedded the gamification into their application. So what is that? So their goal is learning a language, and the rules are, so they are learning the grammar rules, and then they see the feedback. So the students need feedback always. So 3 day streak. For example, if your students do their homeworks 3 times, so you say, oh, you have 3 day streak, so you can give that badge also. And for example, here the prize overachiever, you earned 600 XP in a day. And motivation is also another important thing that we should consider in gamification. Class Dojo is another tool that we can easily integrate as gamification. It's not exactly game based learning, it's absolutely gamification tool because you give the points, and your parents also monitor the classes with the links. So that's really useful app that I usually use. And for example, you will gamify the latecomers to the school or to the class, and or you can gamify the you can give prizes, you can give awards to the students as break kings, break queens. And also, if the problem is the latecomers to the class, and how we do it, so you just divide the class into 2 parts, and the early birds, early comers can sit wherever they want, and the on time comers will sit at the back, and late comers will sit where the front comers and the on time comers pick where they will sit. So that's even a gamification, and students will be disturbed by that, even that, because they cannot decide themselves where they will sit. So that's another thing. And or you can pick one female or male student as a break queen or break king, and they just measure the students' coming time, and when they come early or late, And the when the break is over, so they just close the door and the lesson starts. And we can also give some badges or a paper or something, a kind of badge to show them they are the kings of the break and king or queen of the break. And so it can be transfer to other student for the next week. So that's a great, and you can give them symbolic tasks and give the priority for something. They can answer the questions when they want, like this. And we have two kinds of motivations, extrinsic and intrinsic. Extrinsic, it's something concrete. Money, rosette, price, salary, criminal for punishment, premium, promotion. But intrinsic, they are volunteering. They are doing it involuntarily. And their expertise, you can show their expertise and target, interest, wonder, passion, belonging. They are from their soul, let's say. It's much more like feeling. And flow theory is very important. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. He is the flow. If students or the people are in the flow, they are completely interested in the thing that they are learning. But they're out of flow, so we lose that person. So they must be in the flow all the time. So frustration too hard, so boredom too easy. So you must find the middle way in the flow. So this is the hardest part in everything, I think, in teaching something, in learning something. So you must take the participants into the flow. And I think I'm very, it's gonna be a long meeting. So let's make the flow theory later. And 5 ways to boost student engagement with flow theory. First, start with intrinsic motivation. Have students monitor progress, embrace students' choice and agency, provide scaffolding, and minimize distractions. So these are the 5 important parts in flow theory. However, flow, I can explain flow nearly an hour. So some of the things I need to just jump and the player's journey, Amy Joachim, and I'm the Game Hub Thinking Ambassador, and I am the Amy Joachim's ambassador. Game Hub Thinking is a tool that Joachim owns. And for example, she says that there must be 3 steps. One of them must be you must be onboarding, you must compete with yourself, and then scaffolding, you must compete with others, and then the last one, mastery. So you must compete with others in collaboration. So when you make group works or group games, so it is usually the mastery, and they are doing really good in that. I think gamification is probably more like 75% psychology and 25% is technology. However, most of the teachers are really insisted in telling gamification is usually done by digital way. No, it's not right. Yeah, we can use digital tools, but when I was younger, we used to have other games, for example, memory cards just on paper, and then maybe Simon Says games. They are not technological indeed. These are also working for the students' engagement. So it's not about technology. And Gabe Zickerman is another GameFed founders. Life is cycle, so it's motivation. You can lose your motivation, and it's totally up to you. So a hook model, it's near Ale. He's great psychologist. So I really love his books. I absolutely advise you to read them. And trigger, for example, trigger comes up. First, you invest something, and then variable reward, you give variable reward, and then the action comes and it triggers. And then it's a kind of circle. And what is internal trigger is the product addressing. What external trigger gets the user to the product. So these are more company based. So maybe we can talk about it later on. Indeed, we are much more talking about education. We talked about the hook. There's a nice example. Booking.com, I think most of people using Booking.com, there is a hook theory in that application. It's gamification style. For example, the hook theory says, first, you send the notification, last three rooms at this low price. You send the notification and then click and book the room, booking.com. So these are the trigger. You are trying to persuade the customer to buy something. And then you click and book the room at the end. And the contract and room details, it gives the investment part. And I put into practice and saved money, booking.com. So this is the last thing. You got the house cheaper because it was, for example, 1,000 euros, but you booked it in 950. So you say, it's cheaper, but it's a gamification technique. It's usually attracts people attention to buy it. You persuade it, but it could be even, maybe it's just 950 euros hotel, but it's just give you a notification and you said, it's cheaper. So that's gamification works in a great way in marketing. Sub-theory. We can use badges and levels in sub-theory. So they are really important. First, you can use information, then you can give them special rights and they feel, oh, I have priority, and then you can give them gifts or free items. And let me show you. Look at that, the stuff, and then you give a bit power and access to the right to next level, and you give the status, so that even gives you encouragement to do something. That's another gamification designer, Kevin Verbach, and he also gives you information about business objectives, but we're all talking about education, so we can just pass through. These are some badges you can use, for example, Quizmaster, Cutoff, and Hero, digital designer, and good listener today, helper today, and uh, you are the male pigeon and environmentalist, challenger, lots of digital badges, and also you can print them and they can be real badges are can be given. Yes, messy table is a sign of messy mind. What kind of mind is an empty table signifies? So you should think and write the answer to the comments also. And I'd like to add some websites where you can gamify your lessons. Flippity is a great tool that you can gamify your lesson. GamiLab, Class Dojo, Kahoot. Everyone knows Kahoot already. Classcraft used to we have Classcraft, but they changed it. I think they didn't make enough profit, and so they just closed it down. And quizzes also. Game Builder, Genially. Learning apps, Cram. Cram is also out of use now. And I can suggest some more here. You can use, uh, I forgot. I forgot Comma. And Gemini is also another great tool that you can create games. And also AI, love app, could be also another design. And if you write them, but these are the games that I usually use and very practical to use. Socrates also. Gymkit, yes. Padlet, yes. Quizlet, Plickers. Plickers is really a nice tool. Yeah, you need to make some preparations for Plickers, but it's still nice. And in order to find out more about gamification, you can enter these courses and you can learn more about it. There are lots of online courses in gamification also. These courses are really I already completed and I advise you. And games are the only force in the known universe that can get people to take actions against their self-interest in a predictable way without using force. Yes, game over. So I hope you enjoyed it a lot. And so these are my social media accounts. Hope to see you again. I hope you enjoyed and you learned lots of things in our um, training. Bye for now.